Hi, and welcome to our Facebook Friday. Today, we are going to be making 3 cards using the Valentine Kisses Bundle. This one has a lot of really cute Valentine's things to make, and so I thought this would be a good set to do this week while people are starting to make cards for Valentine's Day. The first, in this particular stamp set, you'll get a stamp that says, sending lots of love your way to celebrate the special day, bear hugs and kisses, giving you a big smooch, and happy Valentine's Day. And it has this adorable bear, and we are going to make 3 really fun and cute cards. The dies that come with this set have all of these different die patterns. We're going to use quite a few of these today, and so you will see these in the cards that we're making. But they are just super cute and give you lots of fun ideas. So, with that being said, I am actually pairing this up today. This one is not a suite. It is just a bundle, but I am going to pair it with the Made with Love paper. Thought I had the name on the back, but I don't. But it's actually the new Valentine's paper that is in the spring catalog, and it has lots of really cute and fun patterns in it. And so we are going to be using this in our cards. And one of the things that you're going to find is we are using small strips. And so it kind of shows you a way to make some of these cards and not use a ton of designer series paper, but yet they're still really cute. So with that being said, I did do a little bit of pre-stamping on some of these just so I could die cut them out ahead of time and you wouldn't have to watch me do all of the die cutting for this. But we are going to be using blends, which I love. Those are one of my favorite things that we have. If you would like 2 things. If you would like to join my email list, please go to inkycreationsbylinda.com and a pop-up will be there for you to join my email list. And if you would like a kit to make the 3 cards that we are making today, you can use this QR code and place an order with me of $35 or more between now and next Thursday, and I will send you a card kit. And in that card kit will include everything you see here that we're making, all of your cardstock, designer series paper. Everything will be cut, dry embossed for you, as well as, I don't think we have any punches this time, die cut, and then it'll just be ready for you to stamp and assemble. If you want your cards to look exactly like mine, you will need the Valentine Kisses Bundle, or at least the stamp set. So if you would like that, you are welcome to use that as part of your purchase to get this card kit. It will also include envelopes. I don't think I said that. So I'm going to move this and I will bring it back at the end. But we're going to make our first card. This is going to be a landscape card, and this is real red, and it's just 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then you will have a piece of basic white. Sorry about that. I was looking at something else and not thinking. And this is going to just get adhered to the front of our card. So let's do that. I think I may need to grab my reading glasses. That's one of the things I was looking for. Here we go. You will find that things might be just a tad straighter if I'm wearing these. Otherwise, I just know they're crooked, but I can't figure out how to fix it. So, all right. So that is just a piece of white, basic white cardstock that is 5 by 3 3/4. And then next, whoops, I am dropping things. We are going to have one of the doilies. So this is in a package. Let me show you the package this comes in. But this comes in a package that looks like this, and it's called the Lovely Doilies, and there are, I think there are 6 of each size and color. So some of these are real red, some are bubble bath, and the one that we are using is one of the large bubble bath, and I cut it in half, but there are 6 of each size in here. So there's quite a few in this package, but it just makes really fun cards, okay? So before we adhere that down, I am going to move my instructions just a little closer so that I don't mess something up. So you will have 3 small pieces of designer series paper, and this comes from the Made with Love suite, and we are just going to glue these in the center of our white cardstock. So this is hearts on one side and the real red with, I think that's strawberry slush, polka dots, which is really cute. So we're just going to adhere these and put these down. So I am going to start by putting the center one down first. So let's just, and it doesn't have to be exact, but just what kind of feels right. You could even angle these if you wanted to, just so they don't look like they had to be exact. But I'm just going to put a little bit of multi-purpose glue on the back, just enough to hold these down, and I'm going to put a little bit of space in between them. But this is a way, if you have a little designer series paper, but you don't have a lot and you want to stretch it out, it's a great way to make your designer series paper stretch out to where you can get a lot of cards out of 1 or 2 pieces of designer series paper. So you can make quite a few cards with this, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and I'm going to use mini glue dots, and we are just going to kind of put this in the center of our card right there. And so let me grab some mini glue dots and just put a few on here. You don't have to cover it, but I just want to do enough so that it doesn't come unglued. And then we're also going to be putting a label on top of it, so that will help to adhere that down as well. So I'm just going to do one more. And we'll put this one up here. And then we're just going to kind of place this in the center right here. Okay. And like I said, it doesn't have to be glued down a whole lot because you're going to have a label we're going to put on here as well as a bear that is super cute. Okay, so let me go ahead and get out my black Memento ink pad because we're going to be using this quite a bit for our stamping. All right, so on your, this is die cut with the textured notes. I'm going to stamp bear hugs and kisses. And so we are going to just ink that up really good and then hopefully get this in the center. I really, you know, when I first saw this set come out, I thought it was cute, but I was kind of like, I don't know if I'll get it or not. But then the more stuff that I saw with it, I just really kind of fell in love with it. So I'm going to put this on dimensionals. I'm going to cover this up just so it doesn't dry out on me. And so we are going to grab some of our large dimensionals. Put these right here so I can find them. And I'm just going to put a few of these on here. These cards you will see today, I am not using any ribbon on these cards, which is unusual. I usually always have ribbon and embellishments, but today we're just going to have embellishments and that's it. Okay? All right, and so then you will have a scratch piece of white paper, and what you are going to do is you are going to use this super cute little bear stamp, and we are going to stamp that. And so I just want to ink him up really good and then press him down. There we go. And then with the magic of TV, I have already cut him out. And so that way you don't have to wait on me to do that. And then we are going to use our blends and we are going to color him. So I am going to be using Crumb Cake and Petal Pink. So I tend to do my dark colors first. One of the things that I love about Stampin' Up! Is that they already kind of have the lines on here for you. So I usually, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but I usually will just kind of go over those and then maybe do like a tad of shading. And then we'll go back in with the lighter color and we will fill it in. So then, let's see, we'll do a little bit right here. And then maybe a little bit more right here. And then we'll do some more on his foot down here. And then I want to leave the inside of his ears and also this part of his face to do in the Petal Pink. So I'm just going to kind of highlight his little eyes in that eyebrow. And then go over the rest of this with the light Crumb Cake and kind of blend it all in. So, I probably could have done the edges of his ears, but what we may do is just do a second layer with this lighter color. And I think it'll still give us a little bit of highlighting there. All right. So then, whoops, I ended up coloring the inside of his ears, so we may not have Petal Pink on the inside of his ears. This is what happens whenever you talk and color at the same time. So let's grab this down here. I tend to die cut these guys before I color them. That way I can make sure that I get a good die cut. Obviously, it's easier to hold it down if you haven't die cut it yet, especially whenever it has kind of a small edge like this one does. So you are welcome to do whatever works best for you. This was just kind of the way that I chose to do this one today. And then you can always go back. One of the things I love about our blends is you can go back and add more shading in areas that you want. So like on the outside of his ears, I'll make just a little bit darker. And then that way it gives it a little bit of variety. There we go. And then the more you color, the more layers you get. And it just kind of adds a little bit of dimension to him. So now I'm going to use the Petal Pink and do the inside of his face. So I'm going to use the darker color and just kind of go around the edges And then I will use the lighter color in the middle. So then let's do our lighter color. And it's pretty light, so, but it does give it a little bit of a difference. Okay, so here we go. And I think if you will do the inside of his ears pink, that will kind of go well also. But as you can see, even with the brown, it looks good. So now we're going to use dimensionals on the top of his head and the bottom of his feet, and then glue dots on the middle part so that it will stand up right there. So let's grab a couple of glue dots for the middle. And then we will get some of our small dimensionals and put those, kind of making sure I'm not taking this off the camera. Sometimes I get carried away and all of a sudden I realize that I'm out of the frame and you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so we'll just do that. We'll pull the tops of those off. And then we are just going to put this like this. There we go. And then for the embellishments, I am going to actually be using, hang on, I have a piece of hair that got stuck in there. So I am actually going to be using the Strawberry Slush and Pretty and Pink gems because I think the colors of this go really well. And so I'm going to use one of the darker ones. Let's put it up here, and then maybe a medium size one over here. And then we can put a lighter color, maybe like right in here, which is kind of fun. And so this is card number 1. Isn't that fun? Super cute. Doesn't take a lot of time to do, and you can always, I love the way the shading comes out on the bear. It's just really fun and easy to do. All right, so for our next card, we are going to be using, let me make sure I don't, there we go. We are going to be using a lot of different blend colors on this one. So this one is also, all of our cards today have real red. This one's actually going to be portrait. And so, again, your background or your card base is going to be real red at 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then, and I don't think I'm going to make you watch me stamp that. I think because it's already stamped and die cut, we'll just go from there. Okay. By the way, we are not doing anything on the inside of these cards, but I will send you a piece of basic white cardstock so that you can decorate the inside of your cards with that. So, with that being said, this one is real red, and then, yes, that's correct. Making sure I'm got the right one up. And then we have a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5 1/4. And so before we glue that down, we're going to do some other stuff because I want to make sure that I stamp it in the right place. And so we have 3 pieces of designer series paper, and as you can tell, this is the exact same designer series paper that we used on the last one. And again, these strips are 1 by 4 inches, and so they are nice because you can layer these on the card, and it only took a 1-inch strip of your DSP, and so you didn't use very much of it. So let's put the first one down, and we're going to kind of angle these a little bit just to make it a little more whimsical. And that way too, you don't have to feel like it has to be straight all the time. And if you're one of those people that can't ever seem to get everything straight, it makes it look like you knew what you were doing. So then we will do this one, kind of angle it up and over a little bit to where there's a little bit of space at the bottom, but not at the top. And then on this one, we're going to angle it in the other direction. And so we are going to take it and kind of go like that. All right. And so you will have a piece of vellum that has been die cut with the Stylish Shapes dies. And we are going to put that in the middle. But before we do, we are going to use Real Red ink. And we are going to stamp Happy Valentine's Day down here at the bottom. This is a super cute, and it's not a really large Happy Valentine's Day. So it's nice because it just kind of fits exactly where you need it to fit. All right, so there we go. I really like the font of this. It's super fun. Just kind of a easy stamp to work with. Okay, so now that we have that, we'll go ahead and adhere this to the front of our card base. So let's grab some adhesive. I think you can obviously use this paper. There's a lot of papers you could use, especially with this being Valentine's. Anything that has whatever color scheme you want to go with, but I think the Made with Love paper is super cute with this. And then we are going to take our vellum circle that will be in your kit, and we are just going to put a small strip behind this because vellum tends to show the adhesive, and so I'm going to be putting something right over the top of it. So I just want to secure it to where it's down, but nobody's really going to see where the adhesive is. And so we're just going to place that in the center and just kind of push it down. And you can tell if you look at this where that adhesive is, but since we're going to put something on top of it, you won't be able to. So now we're going to take our bear that will be die cut for you in your kit, and you'll just need to stamp it. One of the things that's kind of fun is there's a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little cut at the top and at the bottom of his arms. And so what we are going to do is we have this little flower bouquet. This is all part of this set, and we are going to color this first, and then we are going to adhere this to where it just fits right there. And so that way it looks like he's bringing flowers to someone for Valentine's. Okay, so let's grab our blends. We have quite a few that we're going to be using, primarily because of the flowers. And so the first thing I'm going to start with is coloring my bear. So in doing that, I'm going to use pecan pie, and then I'm going to leave the inside in the middle of his face white this time, and hopefully I won't forget like I did last time. So again, I'm going to use some of I'm starting with the dark, and I'm just going to use the lines that Stampin' Up! Has already put on the stamp itself, and just kind of use that as my guide for where to color with the dark. And then whenever I come in with the lighter shade, I will color the other part with the light pecan pie. Okay, so let's see. And again, we're not going to color the inside of the ears this time. Hopefully, let me kind of go around. Let's do his eyebrows and his little eyes. And then down here, all right, and then we'll do another swatch of the darker pecan pie there. And then we will use our lighter pecan pie to fill in all of these areas. So we're just going to just kind of start shading and coloring this. It's always amazing to me how the blends just, you know, because I don't feel like I'm a good color person at all, but they always look so nice whenever you get finished. And it's, I think a lot of it is the way the stamps are, because they kind of hint around at what needs to be colored in and what doesn't, but it just kind of all fits together whenever you get finished. Whoops. See, I even went outside the line a little bit, but it's okay. That's the other reason I like to start with the darker edges kind of along the lines, just to help me hopefully not have tons of areas where I'm going outside. There we go. And then we'll kind of go one more time just across the middle, just to make it even out just a tad. And so now that we have that, I'll just kind of go one more time and then just blend that in just a tad so it doesn't look like it's hard lines. There we go. And I think that will work. So that is our little bear. How fun is that? I don't know. I feel like my light is a little off tonight. Hopefully you guys can see this. And then let's do our flowers. So with them, I am going to use real red to do this part down here at the bottom. And so I am going to, and a lot of this is going to be tucked in, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So I think I'm just going to use the dark and just kind of go all along the bottom part of this. There we go. And then we are going to use pink for the flowers themselves. And so this is Pretty in Pink. So I'm going to use the dark Pretty in Pink. You could do highlighting, but honestly, these are so tiny that I don't think you're really going to see a lot of variation. So we're just going to kind of do the petals and just do that. And then I'm going to do the centers in Peach Pie. And then that way it kind of gives it a little bit of a yellowy orange tint. And then we do have a few leaves here. And I'm going to do those in Granny Apple Green. One thing I do sometimes too is when I'm coloring really small spots like this, I don't even really use like a stroke. I end up just doing like little dots and having it all just kind of fill in. So like on these leaves, it has such a small area, and this ink does sometimes tend to bleed just a little. And so that's the other reason that I don't want to do a big stroke. And then I'm going to use the dark peach pie for the insides of these, just to kind of give it a little bit of variation from the pink petals. So then whenever you get finished, it looks like this. So it's kind of cute. So then now what we're going to do is we're going to put this on the inside of him. So I want to put just a tad, I think I'm going to use a glue dot to hold this down. And so we are, I think that's probably going to be the best thing. And so I'm going to put a glue dot right back here on the back, about right there. And then we are going to stick this down in here and then have it go down through the bottom and then just kind of hold it down so that it adheres that way. And then I am now going to use dimensionals and put him on here. Now, one thing I noticed is that this is curling up just a little, so I may go ahead and use a couple of glue dots to hold this down, because I will tell you that my lights are hot, because I notice every time I get finished, I'm always really warm. But I don't want my vellum to be buckling on my card. So I'm just going to push it down like that a little bit. And then let's use some dimensionals on the back of him. And when you put your dimensionals on, you can also hold this down with that as well. So let's grab a few of these. I'm going to put one right there just to hold those flowers in place. And then we'll do one there. And we're going to do one more kind of in the middle. And so we are now going to put him right here in the middle, and then we will grab some of our embellishments, and you can use whichever ones you like. I think this time maybe we'll use these pink ones because these are super cute, and we will just put a few of these around. And then maybe do one more over here. Okay, so here is card number 2. How fun. Super fun. All right, for our final card, we are going to be using another Real Red card base. And this time, let me get, oh, you know what? We will be using some of these stamps. So this time we are going to be making a card that is portrait, but this one opens up just a little bit different. This one opens this way, like this. And again, I will send you white cardstock to put on the inside. So this one is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. You will have a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 basic white cardstock, and then you will also have in your kit a couple of things here. You will have a piece of this shimmer pink. This is really pretty. It's a new paper. I believe it just came out this past Tuesday. It's either in the catalog or the online exclusives, but it's called Pastel Shimmer. And in the pack, you get the bubble bath. You also get Lemon Lolly, and I think it's Pool Party is the other one, but it's blue, pink, and yellow, and it's super cute. But we're going to use this. And then again, we have that same designer series paper. This is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and this is 3 by 3. So this is going to fit together that way. So let's do this. Let's take our basic white, and we are going to adhere this to the front of our card. But these are cards that you can make that are nice for Valentine's, and you can make treat boxes with them and make little tags, whatever you wanted to do, and you wouldn't have to use a lot of designer series paper. You could probably get 1 pack of designer series paper and make just a ton of these cards. All right, so I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of our DSP and then adhere this to our pastel shimmer and just kind of center this. And then we are going to adhere this to the top portion of our card. And so I'm going to adhere this flat. I'm not going to pop this up, and it's because the next layer is going to be popped up. So I don't want to do that. And so we will just kind of put that up here. All right. And then you will have some of these fun, this is just a super cute die cut. I'm not sure how well you can see this. I think you'll be able to see it better. But this is going to be like a little Valentine stand. And so we are going to use dimensionals to pop that up. But before we do, we have another little bear that we are going to color. And this time, we are going to be using our bronze and ivory blends on him and kind of put him together. So the bronze is really just going to be to kind of just barely highlight some of this, and then we will use the ivory to really kind of shade everything in. Okay, so we're not going to use a lot of the bronze, maybe just a little. And then we're going to use the ivory for the majority of it, and we're going to leave the middle of his face white on this one. And so then we will just kind of, and this is kind of a, it's almost like when I first saw it, it kind of reminded me of almost like a, I don't know, flesh tone, I guess, which I guess is what ivory is, but it really doesn't look like it has much of a color. But once you get it on there, it looks a little different than what it does whenever you're first putting it on. All right, so then let's get the other side of his head. And then I am going to color the inside of his ears. And then we'll come back with the ivory and kind of hit the top parts, or not the ivory, but the bronze, and hit the top part of that. Maybe a little more. And then same thing over here. Super cute. I think this little guy is just really kind of fun. And then we're just going to kind of highlight the outside of his ears just a little. Same thing on this side. There you go. So then, by the time we get finished, I tell you what, I'm going to blend this part just a little more with our ivory, just to kind of pull that in just a little. Because the more you go over this with the ivory, the more it kind of subdues that bronze color. which I think makes it kind of fun. So here we go. So here's what he looks like once we've finished coloring him. So you can tell that there's a little bit of color on there, but it's not a ton. Okay, so you will have a little piece like this that you're going to stamp, and this time we're going to use black on this also, and this is going to say, giving you a big smooch. So let's get this and try to get this straight. There we go. It's a little crooked, but I think it'll be okay for what it is. And so, yeah, it is a little bit crooked, but I think it's fine. So now what we are going to do is, you also have, so this is one of the things that's super cute. Let me show you this in this stamp set. You have these little hearts and the little XOXOs, which we're not using, but then you also have these little lips, which is what we're going to be using. And just to put a few of those over here, because since we're talking about giving someone a kiss, I think it's kind of apropos to put that on there. So before I do that, I want to center this, and so I'm going to use dimensionals to pop this up. So let me grab some of our small dimensionals for this. And we are going to just kind of put a few of these on here just to pop this up just a little. And then I think on this one side, I'm going to actually use like a half of a dimensional, because I think a whole one is going to be a little bit too big, because I don't want it to stick out over the edges. And so we're going to put one of those right here. And then we will do another one, if I can peel this off. There we go. And we are going to put it on the other side. There we go. And pull off our backings. Well, I think I am. There we go. I knew it would eventually come off, but sometimes you kind of wonder. All right, so now I just want to center this. And I usually just try to center it at the top. There we go. And then just kind of let these fall. And then I want to put this on here, and I'm going to put dimensionals along the bottom of this, and I'm going to use the larger ones on this part. And then you'll see that we just kind of let the top part fall where it does. And then we're going to tuck our bear on the inside of this. So I'm going to use glue dots on the back of him. So let's grab a couple of glue dots. And we'll just put, you could use any type of adhesive that you want. I just don't want it to, I don't want to add dimensionals, because I want him to look like he's standing behind this little booth. And so then we're going to put him right here, like he's waiting. And then you will have a cute little pink heart. And again, this is that glimmer paper. And we're going to put this right here on the front. So let's grab another couple of glue dots for this. And there we go. And then we will put this kind of in the center. There we go. And then now I am going to use real red ink, and we're going to stamp just a couple of these little kisses on here, because I just think they're super cute. If you want to, you can always test them on something just to see what they're going to look like, but they're really cute. And so we'll do one kind of right here. And then I want to do one more set, maybe over here just a little. There we go. And then we are going to use dimensionals and put our sentiment down here below the kissing booth. Move this out of the way. And we will just put that right here. Okay. And then let's take some of our, what did I say these were called? I think it's strawberry slush and pretty and pink gems. And we're going to put a few of these around, and you can put as few or as many as you would like. I'm going to do one right here, and then we'll do a lighter color one. If I can get it to come off, there we go. Up here, and then maybe we'll do another light colored one down here with this. Oops. All right, so this is card number 3. How fun. All right, so let's recap with what we made today. And so here is our Inky Creations and also the QR code. And here are the cards that we made. I guess we can put these like this. And then we'll kind of put this one down here so that you can see all 3 of them. And just to let you know, I'm probably going to do a sneak peek of this and put a video out on my website this weekend. But I do have my club cards for the month of January if you are interested in that. And let me grab those so that you can see those. If you go to my website at inkycreationsbylinda.com, you can go to the page that says Monthly Card Club, and that's where you can do one of 2 things. You can either sign up to do the subscription, and you will get a kit every month to make 2 of each of these cards. I think I only grabbed 3 of them. And then here is the second one, and here is one more. So in the sneak peek, I will have all 4. I'm not sure. The other one is probably over there somewhere. I just didn't grab it. But if you would like to get more information on my club, you can see it on my website. There is also a link to order just this 1 month's kit only. So if you are interested in that, you can get more information there. I also have a scrapbooking club that I am going to be starting probably in about a week. So there is a scrapbooking page right now. I think the deadline, I want to say it's Saturday maybe, for the New Year's Eve scrapbooking kit. And so you can see the scrapbooking page on my website, and it will give you information for that if you're interested. So in the meantime, if you place an order for $35 or more, I will send you this card kit if you place your order between now and next Thursday. And I think that kind of wraps everything up for this week. It is bonus days right now with Stampin' Up. So for every $50 that you spend, you will receive a $5 coupon code that you can redeem in the month of February. And so if your order is around $40, $45, you might want to go ahead and spend another $5 so that you'll get a $5 coupon code. So I would remind you to do that. But I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I appreciate your support. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.